Hello everyone, welcome to Sports Khabri, Arun Foot and Curious Harry. Rahul with me, Arnava and Hiren like always. And yeah, we're doing another Q&A today because we've got another day's break from the ISL. We're back covering the tournament from tomorrow. So we'll just talk about a few updates from an Indian football perspective, taking your questions and hopefully answer as many as possible. Hiren, coming to you first of all, in terms of developments, we've got Indian women's the women's national team in action tomorrow against Estonia. So looking forward to that.
Definitely, after a long time, I think the last October, women's team played in the Olympic qualifiers against Japan and Vietnam, where we were thrashed by the Japan, and after that, there was a lot of question in the women's football also. But then IWL started, and everything you can say goes into that. Then in I think December there is a FIFA window of women's team or team didn't play. There was some you can say noise around that. Other than that, I think there is not much change. Now, under new head coach, you are playing their first tournament of the year. So quite interesting phase for the women's team. Also, they are also you can say going into the new phase of their cycle of transition because World Cup last year has been ended, Olympic qualifiers has been ended. So now women's team also is looking for that Asian Cup, Women's World Cup into 2027, other tournaments. So I think quite interesting to see. But I think जो टीम यहाँ पे सिलेक्ट की गई है 2-3 यंगस्टर गुड टू सी आई थिंक लेट्स सी जिन्होंने यहाँ पे करिश्मा और उन सब ने जो आईडब्ल्यूएल में अच्छा किया है उनको यहाँ पे मौका दिया है so let's see how the under the Chauba Devi this team will play. I think that is more the interesting part to see because there is a potential, there is a lot of thing can do in women's football and वहाँ पे भी काफी ज्यादा expectation है and I am excited to see because the European team भले ही चाहे एस्टोनिया हो कोसोवो हो रैंकिंग चाहे भले ही उसकी हमसे कम हो लेकिन हमने देखा है चाहे मेंस एंड वुमेन्स उनकी जो टेक्निकल एबिलिटी होती है वो हमारे प्लेयरों से हमने देखा है कि बेटर होती है तो इन दैट सेंस आई थिंक फाइट विल बी देयर इक्वली एंड आई थिंक इट्स नॉट गोइंग टू बी इजी फॉर हमारी जो वुमेन्स टीम है उनके लिए एंड तुर्की में खेला जा रहा है दिस इज आवर थर्ड टाइम पार्टिसिपेशन so India are the favorites in terms of the अगर ranking wise अगर आप purely on the basis of ranking देखें but I think other teams will definitely give up a tough fight. So I'm really excited to see under the Chauwadi how the team is going to perform, how the player up because एक चीज यहाँ पे ये भी है कि players यहाँ पे IWL मैचेस खेल के आ रहे हैं so they are in a rhythm also ऐसा नहीं है कि मैच यहाँ पे पिछले कुछ टाइम में खेला नहीं so most of the player are playing the regular football so I think that's also a positive thing so I'm really excited to see 2-3 youngsters.
Yep, absolutely. Anwar, your expectations for the Indian women's football team moving ahead?
I think it's going to be an interesting tournament to see where we stand. Again, the ranking is one thing. I think we've seen it with the men's team. I think we shouldn't take the rankings too serious. Kosovo, the technical director of the federation, is a good friend of mine, and they've been building a team. They've been, as they've done with the men's team, they've gone across Western Europe and have put a team together. So it's a team with players from Germany, from Switzerland, from the Netherlands, from elsewhere. So it'll be a quality side. Estonia is solid. It's as well. So it's going to be a question: how good are we? I think a lot depends on how this team gels because it's a new coach. And is she going to bank on experience or is she going to give younger players a chance? And if that's going to be an interesting one for the coach because there are certain players who are missing who we would have thought are sort of crucial for the team. Bala Devi, for example, is not playing IWL at the moment. She's missing one of our standout female footballers over the last few years. So yeah, let's see. Let's wait and see how they do. And again, Estonia, it doesn't matter. Again, Estonia, Kosovo, forget the rankings. These are European teams. So let's see what we can do.
Yep. So that's news from the Indian women's side. Of course, it's a Q&A, guys, so please pour in your questions and we'll take them. Hiren, any other updates that you want to share on the Indian football scene?
Other than that, I don't think so. Any new update, to be honest. I think your ISL will resume again from tomorrow. I League, may I think there is an interesting battle for title race going on because Windy Deccan is also, you can say, key in a top-notch form. So next, I think that match between Mohammedan and Srinidhi will be the really deciding factor in terms of the title race, if you see. So that's the thing. Other than that, this match fixing scenario is currently going on. AFF just put it out that they are taking a strong actions and whole leagues matches will be you can say key investigation will be done. Other than that, they are also involving ACB and all of that thing. So AFF also in action mode now. So interesting to see how the things will you can say turn out in that regard. Other than that, I think under 17 final rounds will be, I think अभी तक announcement नहीं हुआ कि कब start होंगे. Santosh Trophy is also starting from tomorrow. So there is a much hype from the AFF side regarding that tournament that happening in Arunachal Pradesh. I think more promotion than I would say AFC Asian Cup, to be honest. If you see post and everything is there, so they are because they quite building up that hype for that tournament. But I don't. I want to know understand from Anwar sir, what is the because Santosh Trophy's role in Indian football development in last 10-15 years? What is the role? What are the players that emerging from this Santosh Trophy, or what is it actual? Because I think there is a budget has been obviously every year spending on this tournament. So what is the impact it making on the Indian football development in last particularly last 15 years? Because पहले हो सकता था कि जब आपके पास कोई लीग बीग ऐसा नहीं था तब शायद उसका इम्पोर्टेंट होगा, बट अभी अभी इसका क्या इम्पैक्ट है?
To me, it has limited to no impact. Because if I see some of the teams, there's a player, who used to be Indian junior captain, Raju Gaikwad, is playing for Maharashtra. He used to play for us in the first season of the Indian Super League for Mumbai City. And Raju's played, he's played many years for East Bengal. He's played for other teams as well. Good for him to be getting to play Santosh Trophy, but is that any what is the value of that, right? And other teams are doing the same thing, that they're going for the experienced players as well. It's at the end of the day, it's about winning the tournament. The question to me is, can you change the format in a certain way? Can you make it more of an under 23 competition maybe, and with players who've never played ISL, I League? That is that. Yeah, Roshan, you'll say Kerala players had a pathway to East Bengal, but there's a different reason for that. But let's not get into that, because then we'll talk about some controversial stuff, and we have enough controversies going on at the moment. But the question to me is how to utilize this tournament, and it is for players to get a chance, and so it's a lot of efforts are being spent on this tournament, because again, the state associations are part of how the AFF is structured, and the AFF has to give state competitions an importance, and maybe these manpower resources and other resources could have been utilized more in our youth structure rather than spending it on a Santosh Trophy.
एक दूसरी चीज मैं सर इसमें यहाँ पे डिस्कस करना चाहता हूँ. कल हमने बात की थी रिगार्डिंग द पावर्स टू स्टेट अफेयर्स एंड एवरीथिंग. सो जितने मतलब इस तरह के जो टूर्नामेंट है जिसमें आपको स्टेट अफेयर्स को इन्वॉल्व करना है, या फिर उनको, हम सबको पता है किस तरह से वो टीम सिलेक्ट करते हैं, किस तरह से सारी चीजें होती है. जैसे आपने बोला प्लेयर किस तरह से सिलेक्ट हो रहे हैं, कि जो मतलब कि यंगस्टर को मौका मिलना चाहिए वहां पे वो ले रहे हैं, वो सारी चीजें ठीक है. बट आपको नहीं लगता कि जितना ज्यादा हो सके एएफएफ को, कि ये जो इस तरह के जो मतलब टूर्नामेंट से आप इवेंचुअली यू आर गिविंग देम द टूल्स टू डू ए करप्शन, बिकॉज करप्शन यहीं से होगा कि यहाँ पे जो टीम के लिए जो पैसा मिलेगा उनको, या फिर जो भी खर्च करेंगे उसमें वो करेंगे. बाकी जो लोग यूथ लेवल पे कोई टूर्नामेंट ऑर्गेनाइज करेंगे तो उसमें करते हैं. सो आपको नहीं लगता कि इस तरह के टूर्नामेंट, मतलब मैंने भी मेरा बेसिकली वही था कि मैं देख रहा था कि इसका इम्पैक्ट क्या है. तो आपने जैसे बोला कि जीरो इम्पैक्ट बिल्कुल मिला, कि पिछले 10 सालों में अगर आप देखें तो ऐसा नहीं है कि कोई वहां से एक ऐसा प्लेयर आ गया कि जिसने ISL आई लीग में अच्छा कर दिया वो बात.
See, to me, the first thing is, you're saying that it's a tool for corruption. Again, you can't prove it. Again, it's the same thing as with the whole match fixing thing that everyone is now throwing around since yesterday. Again, even I have had matches where I would have thought, okay, things are a little dodgy or fishy or dubious. But as long as you can't prove it, it's easy to say. But again, you have to still prove it in a court of law or in a court of the regulations of the federation. So to me is the Santosh Trophy has been important. It's our focus is the IFA tomorrow, as the Bengal body is going to the AFF saying, we want the Durand Cup back. We want the IFA Shield to be back and be part of the system. No, that's not what we need. You're saying you want a special window for the Kolkata Football League, the Calcutta Football League. You want to run it for 3-4 months. You have to run it for a whole year. So these are the conversations which we need to have. That is the challenge that the federation has with the state association, saying, listen, we are trying to create a 12-month calendar. The ISL is the top tier. The ISL teams with the top tier players will not be playing local league. Either it's a reserve team or they're out of the league even. Right? So these are hard and tough things that you have to tell. So that's the point.
हर्षवर्धन भाई, जो आप बोल रहे कि टूर्नामेंट, डोंट ब्लेम इट ऑन टूर्नामेंट नाउ, तो भाई ये ब्लेम करने की बात नहीं है. दिस इज व्हाट हैपनिंग भाई. इफ यू अगर आपको लगता है कि ऐसा नहीं होता है, सो अगेन आपको क्या बोलती और ज्यादा थोड़ा सा इसके बारे में जानने की कोशिश कीजिए. दिस इज हाउ द स्टेट अफेयर्स आर वर्किंग. आप देखिए कि ऐसा नहीं है कि ये नहीं हो रहा है. और वेदांत बेबल पे आई थिंक ऐसा नहीं है कि सिर्फ कल्याण चौबे को यहाँ पे क्रिटिसाइज किया जा रहा है. आई थिंक वी हैव डन इनफ क्रिटिसिज्म ऑफ स्टेट अफेयर्स. काफी बार हमने बात भी की है उसके रिगार्डिंग में, और ये भी बात की है कि सिर्फ AFF के क्या बोलते हैं वो होने से कुछ नहीं होगा. द मोर यू कैन से कि द चेंजेस विल बी एट द स्टेट अफेयर्स. तो सॉल्यूशन क्या लगता है सर इसका आपको?
Vedant, I think the interesting part is, you know what, the so-called previous people were trying to build something that has been destroyed in the last 15-16 months. The people who said we will change things for good have made things much, much worse. Simple. And the question now is, what can you do to do things better? I don't need people to tell me, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, we're doing this, we're doing that. You have a great vision. Your vision for 2026 is totally unrealistic. From the outset. Was it you people who were jumping up and down? Was it you people who 2 years ago were saying, COA and those guys are doing a great job trying to change Indian football? It's a disaster that they've brought on Indian football. Let's call it what it is. And I'll be one of the person who can say, I tried to save the situation and I got abused by those guys who have no clue, no understanding of what they're doing. Some of your so-called heroes who do think, they will change Indian football. They are destroying Indian football, guys. So wake up from this la-la land that you live in. Most of the people who are involved in Indian football, ask them, what is your interest of being in Indian football? I can personally say for myself that what I've done over the last 26 nearly years for Indian football, that I've done it for the love of Indian football. That I can personally say that Indian football can never repay me what I've done for Indian football. How many people can say that? A lot of these people have filled their pockets, have cheated the system, have robbed the system. If you're unable to do it, and also, yes, to some extent, I agree, the blame is put mainly on the AIFF. It is the stakeholders. Why is Indian football so bad at the moment? Because we have to say our youth system is not good enough. Our grassroots is not good enough. Our coaching is not good enough. We are unable to market the game. That is the reality. So all these people who are now complaining, oh, and I know the solutions. There are people who are complaining. You've had money. You've tried. Have you done the right things when you had the money? Yeah. Let's talk about age fraud, age cheating. Our system needs to be right, and people need to understand. And you can blame the ISL, you can blame FSDL, but you know what? There's certain things that these guys have brought over the last 10 years. We have to be honest enough that without FIFA and AFC, we wouldn't have even sorted the I-League versus ISL scenario. That's the reality. So what are people talking about? It's easy to talk. It's for us three. It's easy to talk here and say, oh, this is this. The people who are in charge, they have to take a call. We need radical changes in Indian football, but nobody's ready to do it because everybody in this is for their own interest. All these people who tell you, show you, I'm doing this for India. I'm doing this for Indian football. No, you're doing it for yourself. Prove it you're doing it for Indian football. Your so-called heroes. Wake up, guys. Wake up, guys. That's the biggest problem that they are. There is not one person as a problem. You can actually remove 99.9% of people involved in Indian football. That is the real problem. Or otherwise, allow the right people to run Indian football and then follow those people, follow the leadership, follow the vision, follow what is needed. The implementation is what is the biggest problem in Indian football. The ideas are there. Rob Ban in 2013, 2014, clearly in his Lakshya plan told what needs to be done over the next 10 years. It was never implemented. Why? Because it was too ambitious for Indian football. People actually said, what, the plan is nice, but you know what, Rob, it's too ambitious. Thanks a lot. Just go back to the Netherlands. It's better you go there and you do total football over there. These are the realities of Indian football. And these same people are now telling you, oh, we now know what the solution is. No, you don't know. You are the part of the problem. Just get the fucking, sorry for my language, way out of the way. Give the football the money back that you've taken out of the system and then just move away. That is the real problem today. That is what we need.
और ये जो हर्षवर्धन भाई बोल रहे हो ना कि ये आई लीग में भी हो रहा है तो आई लीग भी बंद कर दे। आई लीग का भाई आपकी अगर मॉडर्न फुटबॉल का स्ट्रक्चर में देखें तो कोई वैल्यू है? हम बात कर रहे हैं कि संतोष ट्रॉफी का उस तरह से इम्पैक्ट नहीं है, इसीलिए वो बजट है। या तो उसको जैसे सर ने बोला कि कोई एक ऐसे अंडर 23 टूर्नामेंट में आप कन्वर्ट करो, या फिर इसीलिए हम बोल रहे हैं कि उसका जो बजट है या फिर उसका जो स्ट्रक्चर है उसको चेंज करने की जरूरत है। दिस इज व्हाट आवर पॉइंट इज। ऐसा इसका मतलब ये नहीं, और बंद भी करना पड़े तो भाई कर दीजिए, इसमें क्या फर्क? उसका आप बजट, जैसे आपने क्या बोलते कि इंडियन नेरोस का बजट बंद करके आपने बोला कि हम उसका एक यूथ स्ट्रक्चर खड़ा करने वाले हैं, जो कि आपके पास हो नहीं पाया।
Vignesh is saying politician run sports, problem of sports. No, it's not.
Everywhere. It's everywhere.
It is around the world that politicians are involved in sports. Yesterday we were discussing where Hiren was saying that, how can a president of a club be running a federation? That's normal. Because the federation is made up. Who is the federation made up of? Either of representatives of a state or a district association or regional federation, or of clubs. Right? So even anywhere in the world, the people who are running the federations, they are linked to some club in some sort of form or way. But the question is, are we doing a stress test and asking, are these people eligible in the sense of, are they knowledgeable enough to be part of the boards that they're sitting in? Are they eligible enough to sit in the EXCO? Are they eligible enough to sit in the AGM? Are they eligible enough to sit in the technical committee, in the finance committee, and this and that and everything? We need to be very, very clear that things are there. And if the people are working, listen, they were creating the structures. I remember I was working at Round Glass. There was a club licensing. Now anyone can set up a club. Right? That is the whole problem. There are people who are running clubs, don't know how to run a club, and then have to find ways of how to finance the whole system. We don't have a financial stress test. I find it sad. The Hyderabad story is just sad to see. But the honesty is, who checked before the season if Hyderabad FC has enough money to run a whole ISL season. There are multiple I-League teams who are not paying salaries. As bad as it is, if you don't have the money, it is a hard thing. Then you can't play at this level. It is professional sports. There is money involved in this, and everyone wants a grant from the AIFF. Every federation saying, oh, I need this money, that money from the... No, you have to generate your own revenue to run the system. And the point is that we are in a situation where if the changes are not made, we can have this conversation. Again, I've said it multiple times over the last few months. Record this and watch it 10 years later. Let's see where our football is. Because my concern is that what standard are we at? And Arijit saying, Seema, follow Santosh Trophy closely. What's the value? I mean, the guy doesn't even watch I-League. Right?
ISL, I-League. ISL, sir. I-League, I-League meaning ISL.
Santosh Trophy is even below the level of I-League.
I-League.
Right? And OCI, what OCI? OCI is not happening. I've tried it. First time, 2001. The government doesn't want it. The government wants to restrict who is Indian these days. Why they will allow other people to come in? Everybody is doing it. People are saying we should leave SAF and go to CAFA, whatever. Listen, in the next 5 years, if we don't wake up, we will be losing to Sri Lanka, to Pakistan, to Bangladesh, and to Nepal. These are the realities, guys. Sorry to say this.
Yeah.
Right? Salary cap, great idea. But you can work around salary caps. Even we did in the first season of the ISL at Mumbai City. If someone wants to spend, allow him to spend. But if the others can't, then you have to find a solution to it. And this is the other thing. We don't have the means of having large leagues in India. A 10, 12 team league, most probably these are the realities of Indian football. A 13, 14 team league, ISL or I-League, is too big. First of all, from the player material we have, and secondly, also from the scale of running, because it seems that the generic football fan who starts of playing football, watching football, doesn't want to seem to watch Indian football for 9 or 10 months.
I think
this is that's the वही हमारा point था कि अगर ये exactly.
And guys, I saw a question earlier which was regarding the stream for tomorrow's match. Any ideas on the broadcast for the women's game?
As usual, there is no update.
Yeah. So
that's a friendly tournament. So therefore, the question is if there's any broadcast of that at all. These kind of competitions, again, that's the other thing. Fans expect things. Sorry to also say that everything nowadays needs to be easily available on broadcast. Yeah. So these are friendly tournaments. If it has a broadcast, great. Otherwise, no. I don't expect a broadcast tomorrow. If it happens, great. If not. And the thing is with the Santosh Trophy, the Santosh Trophy has its value. Let's put it this way. But the question is, how are you going to utilize the Santosh Trophy? Right?
Exactly.
You're trying to fight it at the moment, make it more important than it is. It is a competition of the third tier because no ISL or I-League player are playing. Maximum I-League 2, right? I-League 2 even has a break because of that. The point here is you have to see how you utilize the Santosh Trophy. Is it about player development? Or is it for states to win it? I say this as a Bengali. Bengal has always, won the maximum number of things because at the time, those players playing for the big clubs were playing for East Bengal, Mohun Bagan and Mohammedan were playing for Bengal in the competition. Bengal has won the Santosh Trophy with players like Baichung Bhutia and I am Vijayan in the team. So the question now is, and these are the reforms, the reforms that the AIFF needs is, how do I utilize the Santosh Trophy for the development of Indian football? Make it like Asian Games, Olympics, and say, listen, under 23 tournament with 3 overage players. Bas. Then you have a potential value for it. Once in a while, as Roshan said, once in a while there is some scouting going on, but otherwise, yeah, what's the value?
गौरव चक्रवर्ती भाई दोनों का है भाई, एक ऐसा नहीं है कि सिर्फ स्टेट एफ की वजह से ये हो रहा है या फिर पूरा आपका सिस्टम ही क्या बोलती कि वो है तो क्या होगा फिर तो.
But how is
That's why
India doing
we are
well in every sport? My question would be that.
Exactly. That's also not the right thing.
Right. I mean, the point here is the situation. I mean, look at the situation at other sporting bodies. You know, hockey has its problems. Let's not even get into the wrestling federation scenario. Boxing has its problem. I mean, this is a general problem. Look at the problem at the IOA at the moment. You know, and that's the point.
बट एक चीज सर आप नोटिस करोगे कि ये जो जितने भी मतलब ये स्पोर्ट फेडरेशन है, आपको कुछ लोग ऐसे मिलेंगे कि जो मतलब मल्टीपल जगह पे क्या बोलते हैं कि काम कर रहे हैं. इन दिस फेडरेशन आल्सो दे आर वर्किंग ऑन दोस फेडरेशन आल्सो, सेम पीपल.
I saw another interesting question. It was from Rachit, and it was, I think, regarding whether an ISL team should look to play the ACL2 or the third tier of Asia, where probably we have a better chance. What do you guys think about India playing, I mean, an Indian club playing in the second or third tier of Asia?
नेक्स्ट ईयर से भाई जो ACL2 है उसका लेवल बढ़ने वाला है. जो इस सीजन AFC कप का लेवल है उससे हायर अप जाने वाला है. सो नेक्स्ट सीजन अगर आप आज ही का मैं मैच देख रहा था, आई थिंक चाइनीज क्लब ने आई थिंक साउथ कोरियन या जापानीज क्लब को हराया है. दे मेक्स इनटू द क्वार्टर फाइनल ऑफ AFC चैंपियंस लीग. So I think Indian clubs also needs to, you can say, wake up, because every other countries clubs are also making a huge progress. If you see in this season's AFC Champions League or AFC Cup, so it's not going to be easy. I think this is the easiest season for AFC Cup for Indian clubs. Next season से तो AFC ACL2 भी higher level चले जाने वाला है. Then you only hope for that ACL3 जो भी third tier होने वाला है.
Yeah, I think that's what he's asking. ACL3 where we can probably contend, or ACL2 probably where you have a lesser chance but you play better teams.
Again, for us, any continental competition is good. So, you know, for our clubs, and you have to take it seriously, and you have to have, I guess, a little bit of luck here and there as well. You see the example of Odisha FC. You know, you would have said after match day 2, you know what, Mohun Bagan Super Giant are going to win the group hands down, right? We were discussing that, and suddenly, you know, they started losing. Odisha started a great comeback, and suddenly Odisha went through in the group. You have to have luck as well. Mumbai City in 2022 had a relatively easy group compared to this season. They finished second in the group. You know, with a little bit of more luck, they could have gotten to the knockouts. And on the other side, this year, you know, Al Hilal, Nafbahar, and you know, it's always a question. Again, same question also with India, right? This year, Asian Cup, a very, very tough group. 2019, yes, certainly it was an easier group, but still you have to beat those teams, and that's the question.
स्ट्रक्चर भाई इस सीजन का भी सिमिलर सा ही था, ज्यादा कोई चेंज हुआ नहीं है नेक्स्ट सीजन में भी. आप सिवाय कि आपका एक जो सुपर कप है उसको आप लॉन्गर फॉर्मेट में कर रहे हो. एंड द थिंग आल्सो इज कि आपके पास जो भी करंट ग्रुप ऑफ प्लेयर है, दे आर नॉट यूज्ड टू in this kind of, you can say, calendar where they play 40 matches per year. So their body is also taking a toll. If you see the injury list in this season, I think काफी ज्यादा इंजरीज भी हमें देखने को मिल रही है. So these are the also thing कि एकदम से काफी सारे लोग क्या एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं कि एकदम से इंडिया में 16 टीमें कर दो, आप हर वीकेंड मैचेस कर दो, 40 प्लस मैचेस हर साल हो जानी चाहिए, ये हो जानी चाहिए. बट दिस आर दी थिंग्स जो आपको ग्रेजुअली करती जानी पड़ेगी, और पहले आपको नीचे से थोड़ा सा सिस्टम तैयार करना पड़ेगा, तभी जाके अगर आप ऊपर इतना क्या बोलते हैं कि हाई कंपटीशन वाला सिस्टम लगाओगे तब जाके वो वर्क करेगा. अदरवाइज आप ऊपर सिस्टम अच्छा लगा दोगे और नीचे आपके प्लेयर उस तरह की कंडीशन, जैसे कल सर ने बोला कि क्या आपके यंगस्टर 10,000 ओवर खेल के आ रहे हैं, देन यू कैन एक्सपेक्ट कि वो यहाँ पे सीनियर लेवल पे एवरी ईयर 40-50 मैचेस खेल पाए. आपके प्लेयर वहां पे क्या बोलते कि पूरे साल में उतने मैचेस ही नहीं खेल रहे, तो बॉडी आपका यूज्ड ही नहीं है अगर यंगर लेवल से, तो यू कांट प्ले पर्टिकुलरली इन कंडीशन लाइक इंडिया। अगर आपको इतने मैचेस खेलने मिलेंगे तो ऑब्वियसली प्लेयर आर गोइंग टू इंजर। सो ग्रेजुअली आपको सिस्टम को क्या बोलते कि बढ़ाना है और उस तरह से आपको आगे बढ़ना है। एक ही झटके में कर दोगे तो इट विल कोलैप्स।
Yeah. Roshan is asking about IWL2 format, which is, based on my understanding, basically two sets of leagues where you play round robin in your group and then you play another round robin from the winners of each group. Now is
नहीं, वहां पे
Yeah,
सिंगल
so
लेग है, वहां पे सिंगल।
six groups of 4,
yeah.
and the respective winners move into a final round robin. I'm not sure if it's going to be just a round robin
Single leg.
or a single leg,
Si-
right? So that's again, single leg is round robin. So therefore that's another 5 matches. Yeah, so teams get to play 8 matches.
Happy with the format, guys? Like for this?
It's not enough, no, on one side, but on the other side is you have to start somewhere. I think you have to be realistic, especially in the women's game. You have to be realistic of what you're trying to create, because even with this kind of format with 4 teams in a group, you might find a group where you have one very, very strong team and a very, very poor team. So you might get the one or the other loop-sided result in this. So the women's league has to grow. I think, the 7-8 team IWL is a good start. I think it's also the point that it should not grow too fast to 10 or 12. I think we don't have that number of teams to really compete. So that has to be realistic. The second tier, if you can down the road have this format, even if it's 24 teams divided into those 4 groups, if you can get them to play maybe home and away down the road, and then have a final round of home and away as well, so suddenly have 16 matches to play. Maybe that can be done next season. I don't know how they're going to do it, but you have to grow slowly, because again, it's also a question of cost for the AFF, for the clubs, for the local state association who's going to host it. It's a question of cost, and the AFF sort of is subsidizing all these matches.
Yeah, if I'm not wrong, 8 games it would be this season.
Yeah, max.
Based on the
It's
format.
either 3. It's either 3 if you're out, out in the group stages. But those who get through, they would get a max of 8.
Yeah.
नहीं, ग्रुप स्टेज में तो होम एंड अवे है, सो ग्रुप स्टेज में आपके 6 मैचेस हो गए ना। ग्रुप स्टेज में होम एंड अवे है, एंड फाइनल राउंड में इन लोगों ने सिंगल लेग रखा है। सो 6 ग्रुप है,
one
अगर
match. One match.
Okay,
I'm just reading it. Each team will play their opponents in the respective group once in a round robin format, with the winner of each group proceeding to the final round, which also be a single leg round robin affair. The top 2 teams will gain promotion to the IWL.
Then आपके 3 वहां पे हो गए, और 5
and then another 5.
Yeah.
8 matches. Similar to this I-League 3 kind of format.
Yeah, happy with it though. Hiren?
I think with the resources, I think ideal तो मतलब जैसे सर ने बोला कि हम चाहते हैं कि वो उस तरह से होना चाहिए, बट आपको सारी चीजें भी देखनी पड़ेगी, कोस्ट एंड जो आपका लीग का सारा भी, जिस तरह के इंडिया फुटबॉल का बजट है पर्टिकुलरली वुमेन्स फुटबॉल के लिए, आई थिंक देयर आर यू कैन से कि अभी उस लेवल पे नहीं है कि आप उतना ज्यादा खर्च कर सकते हो। सो आई थिंक स्टेप बाय स्टेप आगे बढ़ना पड़ेगा, बट दिस इज अ गुड स्टार्ट कि इवेंचुअली आपके प्लेयरों को मतलब खेलने को तो मिल रहा है। सो इट्स अ गुड स्टेप, एंड आगे आप इसको इवेल्यूट करके आप इसमें डेफिनेटली चेंजेस करके धीरे धीरे आगे बढ़ सकते हो। बट इट्स आई थिंक इंडिया इज वन ऑफ द फ्यू कंट्रीज इन एशिया की जहाँ पे 2 tier सिस्टम है अभी इन द वुमेन्स फुटबॉल। आई थिंक रिसेंटली मलेशिया आल्सो अनाउंस्ड दैट दे आल्सो हैव a 2 Malaysia
East Asia, the Chinese have it, the Japanese have it, the Koreans have it. The Saudis are creating it. I don't know if they have it this season or they'll have it next season. So a lot of nations are starting to have it. So there's a growth of it now.
Malaysia already just I think couple of days back announced that they also have a 2 tier league in for the women's football, and first year में उन्होंने भी 8 teams ही रखी है, इस तरह का कुछ है। So I think धीरे धीरे बाकी कंट्रीज भी मतलब जो है वो भी यहाँ पे वुमेन्स फुटबॉल में फोकस करने लगे। सो इट्स अ गुड स्टार्ट फॉर इंडिया कि आपकी टॉप टीयर में 7 क्लब्स है, एंड नेक्स्ट ईयर में आप 24 क्लब्स है, टोटल आपके 30 to 31 क्लब्स वुमेन्स फुटबॉल में भी है। तो आई थिंक उसके अराउंड डेफिनेटली इसमें चेंजेस कर सकते हैं आगे, बट आई थिंक सारी चीजें आपको फाइनेंसेस भी देख के करना पड़ेगा। ऐसा नहीं है कि जैसे मैंने नहीं बोला मेंस में भी हम बोलते कि डायरेक्ट कर दो 16 टीमें 20 टीमें आईएसएल में, आई लीग में इतनी टीमें होनी चाहिए, तो सर दी आइडियल कंडीशन, बट आपको सारी चीजें कम्पिटिटिवनेस भी देखनी पड़ेगी कि लीग की कम्पिटिटिवनेस भी नहीं जानी चाहिए। करने के लिए तो आप अभी कर सकते हो, क्या बोलते हैं अभी 12 टीम में काफी ज्यादा ऐसे प्लेयर है कि जो आई लीग में भी क्या बोलते कि नहीं चल सकते, उनको आई लीग में मौका मिल रहा है, और आईएसएल में नहीं चल सकते, उनको आईएसएल में मौका मिल रहा है। सो ये भी तो देखना पड़ेगा आपको कि कम्पिटिटिवनेस भी नहीं जानी चाहिए, जो कि मेन पार्ट है। अगर वो चली गई तो आपका कोई जो पर्पज है वो यहाँ पे सर्व नहीं हो रहा है, कि आपकी जो प्लेयर है वो बेटर क्या बोलते कि आगे यहाँ पे रेडी नहीं हो रहे।
And
Anurag, just
and
question.
Roshan's explanation, and also right, that says that the second division in Saudi is going to be like the Indian one with 25 teams in 5 groups. So again, as I said, there are a lot of countries who are trying to create, organize, structure their women's game, and the point it is again for India, you have to be realistic. Again, as Hiren said, you want a big league. You want a big league like in Europe, but do you have the capabilities, the possibilities? And that is, I think, where we're faltering at the moment, if we're honest and realistic. I think that's the biggest challenge that Indian football faces at the moment, that we are not ready to have bigger leagues in the men's and the women's game. I think it needs to develop, it needs to evolve. And even the ISL I-League, I think 12 team, to me, is most probably the ideal number at the moment. Rather than growing it even further, because again, we've seen this season, especially also mentioned by us multiple times, see the number of injuries to key players across teams. Some clubs are playing with a completely changed set of foreigners now, right? We've had so many injuries. That is also a reality which everyone needs to understand. And there are realities in Indian conditions, which is the weather, which is the travel. I think traveling in India is different than traveling in other parts of the world. That's always, it takes a toll. And how do you space out your calendar? This year's biggest problem has been, to me, again, September. When you had your Duran Cup, you had India playing, you had Indian under-23s, then you had the Asian Games, you had the ISL starting, Champions League starting, AFC Cup starting. This is something which you need to sort out. And that's the question. Like, are you, what is the AFF talking to the army and saying, listen, we need to restructure the Duran Cup, that there are not too many matches. So that's going to be interesting.
I think Durand Cup में सर सॉरी राहुल, Durand Cup में आई थिंक जो सर एक महीना नेक्स्ट सीजन के कैलेंडर में भी देखे तो 26 ऑफ जुलाई से 30 मतलब अगस्त पूरा, तो आप देखिए मोर देन 1 मंथ. I think that's where they need to find a solution, to be honest, because I think Durand Cup आपका प्री सीजन टूर्नामेंट है, और इतना ज्यादा अगर आप टाइम दोगे उसको तो डेफिनेटली आपको बाकी जो आपकी मेन टूर्नामेंट है उसमें कहीं ना कहीं सफर करना पड़ेगा. दूसरा चीज ये भी है कि नेक्स्ट सीजन से आपका मे बी साफ क्लब चैंपियनशिप भी स्टार्ट हो रहा है, सो वो भी आपका बीच में इन्वॉल्व होगा. यू आर ऑलरेडी प्लानिंग टू कैन से कि ऑर्गेनाइज फेडरेशन कप और सुपर कप इन बिटवीन वीक्स. सो देयर आर लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स जो आपको सही तरीके से एग्जीक्यूट करनी पड़ेगी, अदरवाइज इट विल बी अगेन जिस तरह से इस सीजन मैसअप हो गया वैसे ही मैसअप होगा. सो आई थिंक दिस आर दी ऑल दी कंसीडरेशन की आपको लेने पड़ेगा. ऊपर से स्टेट एफएस आपको बोल रहे कि हमको ये टूर्नामेंट करवाना है, हमको ये करवाना है. देयर आर अ लॉट ऑफ चैलेंजेस फॉर एएफएफ, एंड आई थिंक अगर सबको खुश रखने गए तो आई थिंक फिर से मैसअप होगा. दे नीड टू स्ट्रेट आउट देयर प्रायोरिटीज फर्स्ट कि व्हाट इज द यू कैन से कि देयर मेन टूर्नामेंट. अगर उसके अकॉर्डिंग जाएंगे देन आई थिंक ज्यादा जस्टिफिकेशन वो उस टूर्नामेंट को तो एटलीस्ट दे पाएंगे. चाहे भले ही जो आपके बाकी टूर्नामेंट है उसमें ना दे पाए, बट एटलीस्ट आईएसएल, आपका सुपर कप, आई लीग और आपके जो चैंपियंस लीग के मैचेस और जो भी है उसको तो आई थिंक एटलीस्ट आपको वो दे पाएंगे. सो दैट शुड बी देयर प्रायोरिटी नेक्स्ट सीजन.
Guys, I thought this was very interesting because it helps sort of understand what Indian football culture is. These new generation of players are now San, Vikram, I'm guessing Apuya as well. You put into that bracket. When do they start? When did they start playing?
Again, for individuals, I can't say it. Again, the Mizo boys might be starting a little earlier than the rest. I mean, I've seen, when was this? The first time, 2016, that you had programs for 6 to 12-year-olds grassroots when the whole grassroots movement was sort of starting in India. So these guys most probably started at 8 to 10, and the others maybe started between 12, 13, 14. Vikram might have started a little earlier because again he was junior captain as well. They're starting at an age because the system again is not there for these kids to play just football for the fun of it, and that's the other thing. We become, in our system, we come too competitive at the start. It has to be that if you have a team of 15, 20 players in grassroots, you have to give every player a chance, because you have the ones who are early sort of talented, and there are the late bloomers, right? So that is one thing you always have to keep in mind, that someone who might not be good at 8, 10, 12, even at 17, 18, but they might become a professional. I mean, my famous German example always is Miroslav Klose, right? I mean, at 22, he does a transfer from the 6th tier to the professional game at 22. And then, as they say, the rest is history. So therefore, you have to see that whoever is playing, nobody should be written off as a potential talent to go on to play ISL or national team, right?
Yeah.
And that's something very, very important, that you need to be open-minded. That's why I said the other day is that the question of scouting, right? Who is doing the scouting? What's your philosophy, idea behind the scouting? Are you scouting for the sake of scouting, saying this kid is now good, or is this kid good enough to be a professional at 18, 20, 22 or 25, right? Best example, Apuya. Apuya was not a starter at under 15, under 16, under 17 level for that team. He was very often the bench player. It was Suresh, Amarjeet, Jitendra, these guys were the starters, right? Gaurav Mangi, I remember met him first at TFA boy at 16, 17. Mangi was not always a starter. But then, he got the chance. Karim Ben-Sharifa as well as Bob Houghton then gave him a chance. And then, as they say, the rest is history. So therefore, you need to be open to that. If someone is good at 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, or maybe develops a little later.
Absolutely.
Arman has a very interesting question, sir.
Yeah.
What keeps you going in Indian football despite all this hopelessness?
See, it's to me is maybe that's the German in me, that I see it, I have seen it, and I do see it always as a challenge. Of course, the one side is what you guys see, what we talk about, what I do with you guys, or what I do now also myself, and trying to explain things and try to talk about things. But there's a lot of things that I try to do in the background or have done over the last, again, nearly 26 years in Indian football. In trying to improve things. And, I know myself what I've done. Maybe when I'm old, I'll write a book about all these stories of what has happened, what I've tried to do. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but it's a never-ending fight. And it's for me, I spoke to someone yesterday who, after this whole thing that came out regarding the match fixing in Delhi, who says, listen, you know what, I faced this, I faced that. This is rampant wherever I have my team, this, that, everything. But I told that person and I said, listen, you've been around for over 20 years. Do you want to get out of it, or do you want to stay in it? And these kind of people are now saying, you know what, it's getting tougher and tougher, but we've been involved for so long. Let's try and do whatever we can. There are good people in Indian football. Most probably, I am over exaggerating when I'm saying 99.9% of people are bad in it. There are good people in the system, but the good people in this system, first of all, very often don't have a voice, or secondly, have given up to actually protest things. I mean, if you look at it yesterday, that's why I've done this explainer video on this whole Delhi football match fixing allegation. Kudos goes to this young commentator who actually put out a tweet. Right? I mean, this guy actually says in the tweet, I don't know if I should do this. It might be that was his last match as a commentator, because the people will now blacklist him because they say, you know what, this kid is honest. But he did one good thing. He did what he did. People also who are watching realized, listen, there's something fish in it, and then started posting about it. So that's why if things are not good, you might be a nuisance to people, but you have to mention it. We have to raise this thing. I do that. I very often do that privately with people rather than doing it publicly, because I think it has a bigger impact when you talk to people. But again, we do it here as well. Again, it doesn't matter how many people are watching, but I know that people know what we're talking about. So that's very, very important, that we keep these, these critical thinking going. And we did it also when things seemed to be going well. Rahul and I did multiple interviews at the time regarding the Indian team. And I said in July last year, I saw the team play and I was not convinced. We won the tournament, great. But how did we win the tournament? Right? So these are realities. The realities were there. I said it in 2022. I tried my best to avoid a ban. I told people very, very clearly that the ban is coming if you don't do the things according to what FIFA says. And people said, who the hell is FIFA? People said, who the hell is FIFA? We are in India. In India, we decide. And this is something that the Indian sports ecosystem needs to understand, that you are governed by the laws of sports rather than the law of the land. So we have a governance issue, a clear-cut governance issue in the country. Yeah. And the interference of vested interests. That is really the real problem of the system. Because you have, Rohan Bopanna, very good example. Especially tennis. Despite all the problems in tennis has had its legends over the last 50, 60, 70 years. India always had someone or the other. Because boys or girls, men and women, individually were able to do it. And that's much, much more difficult in a team sport.
Yeah. Again, just want to add on governance and on government support at the sort of base level. What sort of support have we received from the government so far? And if it's not adequate, what more can they do for Indian football?
I think the question is for the government is, how do you want to support sports in India? Do you see sports as a priority? Because cricket is so big, and people now say cricket is going global. No, cricket is not going global. Cricket is staying desi and going global. If you look at all these franchisees in South Africa, in the US, in the Middle East, they're all owned by IPL teams, right? And of course, it's because the Indian market is saturated. It's not going to grow for them anymore. I have to go global. It's the same thing what the Premier League has done, what all the European football leagues are doing, what NFL is doing, what NBA is doing, MLB, all of the Aussie rule football, every sport is doing that. The question is for India, when it comes to especially football, is to understand that football is not kabaddi or table tennis or badminton or kho-kho or whatever, even volleyball or basketball or whatever. Football is the biggest sport in the world, period. I mean, we three watched so much of Asian Cup this year. I mean, I've not watched that much of Asian Cup, even though I attended 2 of the last 3 Asian Cups, because I was watching more this time on television, because last time around you were watching matches going here, there, everywhere. Yeah. The Asian Cup was huge. And to see countries, look at Syria, in what kind of a situation the country is. Look in what situation Iraq is. Palestine played this tournament. Look at what is happening in Gaza at the moment, right? That needs to be priority. But again, what I love to say is that the 2 key issues for Indian football to move ahead, one is good leadership, not strong, but good leadership, that the stakeholders follow that leadership, that they buy into that idea, they buy into that approach, and good governance. The rest will fall in place, because the bad actors will fall through the cracks of the system. The system will clean itself. It's very easy. But that has to happen at all levels. And that is the challenge. There are good people in Indian football who want to develop Indian football. But you need to bring these people into key positions to run Indian football in the right way. And the government needs to support them financially. Don't get involved in anything else. I don't need a government oversight. The government does not know better than people running a sport to how to run a sport. That's another problem that you have. And that's why yesterday I said the example of Brazil. In Brazil, the courts and the government thought, you know what? CAF, we'll get involved in the blah, blah, whatever. We'll remove and we control football. FIFA stepped in and said, you know what? You might have won the most World Cups, but there is one rule in football and one rule in sport. If you want sporting bodies to be running, they need to be independent of interference from governments.
Yeah.
Period.
Yep. I think on that note, we're hoping for the right people to enter Indian football. I know always says that there are XYZ problems, but hope that the right people enter the system and it in a way sort of cleans itself and we have a better footballing ecosystem.
Sharhat said something very, very
Perfect.
important. If you take that comment,
मैं आज ही थोड़ा सा इसके बारे में रिसर्च कर रहा था, ये स्पोर्ट कोड के बारे में, और जैसे कल आपने बोला कि बाकी कोई कंट्री में नहीं है, सो मैं देख रहा था कि किस तरह से ये स्पोर्ट कोड है, और सच में दिस इज अम्यूजिंग और व्हाटएवर आई मीन टू सी कि कहाँ से लोग ये ऐसा आइडिया लेके आए, और कि भाई सभी स्पोर्ट फेडरेशन में सेम ही तरह का यहाँ पे क्या बोलते कि स्ट्रक्चर होना चाहिए एवरीथिंग. इसीलिए आई थिंक जो एशियन गेम्स का भी आपका जो इश्यू हुआ वो क्यों हुआ कि गवर्नमेंट ने क्राइटेरिया सेट कर दिया कि किसी भी जो स्पोर्ट है उसको अगर पार्टिसिपेट करना है तो उसको टॉप 10 में होना पड़ेगा, जबकि हमको पता है कि बाकी स्पोर्ट्स में और फुटबॉल में उसका जो वैल्यू है वो डिफरेंट होता है. नो मैटर एशियन गेम्स में पार्टिसिपेट करना हमारी प्रायोरिटी नहीं होनी चाहिए थी, बट अगर करना भी है तो जो टॉप 10 का रोल है वो फुटबॉल के हिसाब से उस सेंस में क्या बोलते कि उतना ज्यादा फेवरेबल नहीं था. तो आई थिंक सर ने जैसे बोला अभी कि गवर्नमेंट में जो ऑफिशियल्स वर्क करते हैं उनको लगता है कि दे नो बेटर स्पोर्ट देन द पीपल हु आर वर्किंग इन इट. सो दिस आर द ऑल द इशू, एंड आई थिंक गवर्नेंस एंड जैसे ने बोला कि लीडरशिप, दिस आर द टू थिंग्स कि अगर वहां पे कोई मेजर चेंज या फिर वहां पे अगर राइट पीपल आते हैं देन यू कैन एक्सपेक्ट अ बेटर थिंग.
Absolutely.
I think that's the very important thing, that if you want to to run it, and Joshua is saying, no, I don't think FIFA needs to create an alternative structure. No, there is the structure already there. There is guidelines in the FIFA laws, in the FIFA regulations of what and how a national football association or federation, whatever you want to call it, needs to be run. There are certain rules and regulations which are given forward by the continental body, in this case the AFC. And then on top of that, there are guidelines from the IOC. The Indian Olympic Association is not following the guidelines, or wasn't following the guidelines. So we are in a situation that sports in India, again, it is an India problem in this case, that you want to politically control sports. Cricket is out of this remit. Cricket will also face its problems now because they're going to go to the Olympics. The regulations of the BCCI and the ICC will change now. And that will be an interesting thing what happens in the next 2-3 years. Otherwise, cricket is, you want to come to LA, you follow our rules. Otherwise, tata bye-bye. Because the BCCI and the ICC have been living in their own world. They now come under the remit of an Olympic sport. So that needs to be understood. It is not so easy, but it is, on one side, it's not easy. On the other side, it's very, very easy. There are most probably 5-6 steps to be taken, and then let the system work. Because if a state cannot do it, I have another state who can and who wants to do it. Mizoram, to me, Tete, with all the people, Tete gets the credit, and I love that my friend gets the credit for it. But Tete on his own would have never been able to do what he's been able to do. There were enough people out there, Mizoram, who supported, starting from the then chief minister, the then sports minister, even other ministers, from people who are in the Mizoram Football Association, from the media guys, Mapuya and Tato, who owned Zoonet, who put in money to be able to create the Mizoram Premier League. Tata Trust had come forward to start off a center of excellence over there. They brought Colm Toll back for that. Now they're doing stuff with the Reliance Foundation. The Reliance Foundation says our best working project is in Mizoram. We abuse Reliance, but at grassroots level, Reliance Foundation is actually doing a good job. And Reliance Foundation Young Champs is actually the best youth project that we have in India. That is forgotten, guys. So while there's FSDL, that's the professional game, Reliance has been spending hundreds of crores on youth and grassroots football. Right? So it's not, as is in the rest of life, to me, is also not everything is black and white. A lot of things are in shades of gray. Right? That is the challenge. And to come back on that match fixing thing is, I am shocked to see how many people are surprised to what has been happening or is happening in Delhi. Most probably nearly every day. It's happening somewhere or the other in India. And how did it get exposed? Because of streaming. There are state associations, there are district associations where clubs are explicitly saying, "Humko streaming nahi chahiye." Then ask the question why.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, guys, if there's no streaming happening, if you have local leagues, take a camera and get out there. I'm just joking. No, but
No, it's not. Rahul, that's
good
not
idea.
even a bad
That's a good
idea.
thing.
It's actually a
Good
good idea.
idea.
If you have a camera and you're there at the game, why not record it? And then if you see something which is dubious, report it.
Yeah.
There is an integrity officer at the All India Football Federation. His details are available on the AIFF website. If you see anything fishy, you're watching a match and you can have proof that there is something fishy that happened. Either you have recorded yourself or, there is a streaming. Pass it on to these guys. It's their job to go after this. And now is the time to bring this to the notice of the federation, because the federation has been sensitized. Oh, there is something happening which is not good. So therefore, again, yes, it might feel Indian football is a lost cause. But I always say, never lose the hope. It's the last thing we have. The hope is the last thing we have. We need to keep on trying to make Indian football better. I would love to see before I die one day India play a World Cup. That's the final thing which is keeping me fighting on all of this. Looks very unlikely at the moment, and it's a question. Yeah, and then Rachit, good example with Igor Katatau, right? So players do these things. Players do these things and they get banned. And it doesn't matter that you're a Brazilian or an Argentinian. It does not matter in a football world. That's the point. And again, before that, Sharhad, on the Kerala example, I'll be very interested to see how this Kerala Super League project works, because the AFF is allowing them to bring in foreigners to the league. You're creating a parallel system to the Kerala Premier League. What happens to those other teams? What happens to those? Yeah.
अभी रिसेंटली जो सिक्किम का भी किस्सा नहीं निकल के आया कि जो सिक्किम में जो दोनों लीग है, स्टेट की लीग है, जो एक प्राइवेट लीग स्टार्ट हुई है. There is a clash now.
Yeah, and it's again, and people tagged me and said, why are they stopping them from that? It's even though it's being run by former Indian internationals, and that friends of mine, Nirmal and Sanju and those guys are running it. If it doesn't have a proper affiliation with the state association, and it's not cleared by the state association, but it's not only cleared by the state, it has to be cleared also by the AFF.
AFF.
So if you are not in line with the AFF, as good as a project might be, if you're not following the rules, then it's a problem. Then surely it's a problem. And this is something which the state associations, the role of the state association is actually bigger and more important than even the AFF in this. Because the AFF, with its limited resources and manpower to track everything that is happening in a country like India, in that sense, India is not a country. India is a subcontinent. It is way too big. for AFF to be able to track everything that's happening in India. It's impossible.
Impossible.
So this is something which we need, and therefore, we need to be alert. Not everyone who is playing the game, who is managing the game, who is investing in the game, has the best interest of the game in mind. Let's be honest about that. And it's not an Indian thing. See, Sharad, interesting question. I feel a very interesting question on that. The point is that this is a standalone league, and therefore you have to look at it as something which is outside of the remit of a system. It's they're trying to create an own ecosystem which can also get returns for the investors. I'm interested to see if it works, because it has quite a financial potential investment from the Middle East, from Malayalis who have the money to invest into those 8 franchises. And if you see what these people are potentially committing in regard to infrastructure, great, because then Kerala suddenly has, the best infrastructure in India and Indian football in the next 5 years. So therefore, this Kerala Super League project is an interesting one, but I'm interested to see if it really fulfills the ambitions that the league organizers have. I find it a very, very, very interesting project, and hopefully they have the right people on board who can tell them, guys, be realistic. Because I go back to 2014 when the ISL was started. I sat in meetings with IMG Reliance was the company at the time. It wasn't FSDL. With Mrs. Ambani even presenting her vision of what they wanted to do. And the reality is, in year 10, certain things have been fulfilled, but a lot have not. Especially, 2 key elements. Finance, the clubs are losing their bleeding money, and the quality on the field has not improved.
नीरज शर्मा भाई, आपको भाई लिंक्डइन या फिर उनके वो ऑफिशियल में मिल जाएगी, बट अभी तो करंटली एएफएफ ने भी अपना स्टाफ आधा कर दिया है इन लास्ट 1.5 ईयर. सो ऐसे कोई जॉब आपको आई डोंट थिंक सो कि इतनी कोई ओपनिंग होगी, बट आप उसमें चेकआउट कर सकते हो. उनके वेबसाइट में भी करियर मोड पे जाके आई फाइंड, मैं आज वेबसाइट देख रहा था, अभी भी वहां पे एफसी एशियन कप 2017 27 का बीड का अभी भी वो है वहां पे. तो वो भी अपडेट हुआ नहीं है.
They have to update their stuff still.
Yeah. Rachit, again, this is I don't see that. Again, this is something, why all these speculations are happening. Every team is suffering from the mistakes from the referee. You think some of the teams more, some of the teams less, but every team, the referees are doing mistakes. And some of the mistakes look blatant, but to me, it's just where we are, right? We've discussed the referees a lot, and that's why I am not someone who's going to just do referee bashing for the sake of doing referee bashing. A lot of fans are doing it. I mean, people were criticizing referees at the AFC Asian Cup, and I thought that AFC Asian Cup referees to some extent looked to me better, especially their VR decisions, than what happens in the top leagues in Europe. I thought the VR in the Asian Cup was spot on. I mean, people were weirdly in the final saying, you know what? Oh, the 3 penalties for Qatar. All 3 are penalties.
नहीं सर, वो तो सर क्या बोलते कि फालतू में अटेंशन सीख करने वाली चीज थी. I think जो भी लोग कर रहे थे.
No, but it's not about attention. But some of the people are sort of, they live in this conspiracy world. Now we have that problem as well these days.
अरे वैसे तो वो कॉन्स्पिरेसी नहीं चलती है. वो अभी आई थी कि दिस वर्ल्ड कप इज सेट फॉर द मेसी एंड एवरीथिंग. ऐसे देखोगे तो आप हर कोई किसी भी चीज में आप एक्सक्यूज निकाल सकते हो. तो फिर कोई चीज
I know people who tell that Brazil has not won its 5 World Cups on the field. People tell me 2006, but again, I know a friend who said, you know what, Italy is going to win in 2006 in Germany beforehand. So there are people who will tell you stuff where you think, okay, kaise hoga? How does it happen? Very.
I think
And
Is it- is
also
it-
Rachit, for someone to approach a referee in regard to betting matters, it is it's not so easy, you know. And if anyone is approached, he has to talk to the high ups in the referee department or directly go to the integrity officer. It is not so easy at the top level, you know. And the problem in India is with the ISL or with the I League is, why does this betting happen at the lower level? Because the players don't get that much of money, right?
money.
The I League and ISL, the players are getting a lot of money for Indian standards. So for betting people to get involved, a friend of mine works in one of the integrity companies, and he's explained it to me. He said, listen, they always go to the lower level. You know, there are speculations even in Germany. You have 7th, 8th, 9th division clubs who've installed cameras at their grounds and matches are being recorded. That those matches could be fixed, you know, because now cameras are there and, you know, you've got a live streaming of every game. So people are alert about this. It's not an Indian, it's a global phenomenon. And therefore, I feel, the refereeing thing is something which, you know, I don't get angry about anymore because I feel it's going to take time to get rectified. And foreign referees were something that they've tried in the past. Even I have helped the AFF and FSDL with bringing a German referee once for towards the end of an ISL season a few years back. That guy was of a different level, but that guy is a Bundesliga referee, you know, and he gets, you know, more for one Bundesliga game than if he was officiating for a month in India. So why, again, that was a friendship duty from the German FA. These are all realities. So therefore, yeah, it's the problem is in a lot of problems that of, again, issues or challenges Indian football faces, there are no short-term fixes. But there are others where there are short-term fixes, so I hope the short-term fixes are applied.
Yeah. I think I just want to leave with one thing that you said. I think you said you want to see India play a World Cup before everything ends, and I think I that would be awesome. I think there's nothing better than seeing India potentially play in the World Cup one day. Hope for that.
You have a lot of time ahead of you, Rahul. You are even Hiren. Hiren's not much older than you, so you guys have.
No, it's even for me. It's looking a little tough.
But sir, in today's time, you don't know. I think lifespan has been become a shorter, so I think we also don't have much time. So let's see.
Hey, it's a Matpolo, yeah. You are so young. I mean,
yeah, true. Yeah. But yeah, again, guys, tomorrow ISL action resumes. We've got Goa and Northeast. We've already previewed this game. But again, just before we leave, quick predictions from you guys. Arnava, Goa Northeast.
It's a difficult one because I was watching earlier today the press conference of Manolo Marquez and Hiren's favorite winger Udanta, which was quite interesting. Marcus asked some interesting questions to Udanta and all, and Manolo looked worried. You know, he was worried in the sense of he was very thoughtful. He was very philosophical in the press conference. And Northeast, despite losing 2-4 to Mohun Bagan, they were not bad, you know. So to me, I you know, for the interesting part in the league, I think a draw would be, as I said the other day, I think a draw would be good and would make it even more interesting, both at the top and top 6 race.
Absolutely, Hiren, on this one.
I think no doubt FC Goa had some issues with the players' form and injuries, but I still find they will win this match with the maybe 2-1 scoreline.
Fair enough, guys.
The question is Tommy Juric going to score?
I think so. I think he will score.
Yeah, at least for me, I think FC Goa is still a team to beat, even without Sandesh Jhingan and Victor Rodriguez. But yeah, let's see how the second half of the season pans out. Now we're really in the business side. 6-7 games to go. So it's going to be a lot of fun from tomorrow onwards. Thanks everyone for joining us today in the chat. Please like and share these videos. Subscribe to all the channels, Sports Khabri, Curious Harry, and Arun Foot. Back with ISL action tomorrow. Good night.
Good night,
guys.
everyone.